Welcome back to the Muscle Intelligence Podcast. I'm your host, Pakulski. Today we're going to talk about how I approach training now after 40, specifically what I do the second I walk into a gym to make the most of my day. So one of the biggest challenges that a lot of guys are having is they're not getting the results for the amount of time, effort, and sacrifice they put into the gym. The reality is most people are going to blame things like testosterone. They're going to blame the nutrition. And yeah, those are definitely important. But what I recognize after literally being in thousands of gyms, maybe now around the world, is that probably 95% of guys just simply don't get it done in the gym. You just don't know how to train, even when you're like, man, I do pretty good. Like I work pretty hard, and I'm not trying to ridicule anybody or put anybody down. I just want to give you some perspective on how to make the most of every single rep, every single set, and ultimately every single workout in the gym. And let's say I walk into a brand new gym, never been there, or the one you go into every day. Following the same canned workout that you pull from somebody on YouTube is obviously a really stupid idea because you're not the same as them. And I think people don't acknowledge the differences person to person. So I'm going to give you a 4-part framework today to help you understand really how to be most effective with every single rep, every single set, every single workout. It's a relatively complete framework that I teach to coaches all around the world. For many of you that do or don't know, we now have a really successful coaching certification program that we launched in 2023. And we literally travel all around the world now teaching coaches how to be maximally effective. We call it a framework for rapid results. There's 2 levels now, level 1, level 2, which are different. But teaching some foundational things to a coach also benefits you as an athlete or a consumer. Like, hey, how do you teach an average person who may or may not be really good? And one of the challenges we run into is many guys and girls are like, hey, I used to be a really good athlete. I think I know what I'm doing. And there's degrees to this, right? Which is why I don't want to shame you and say like, you're not very good. Because what there is acknowledging that like I train some of the best athletes in the world, actors and actresses, and there's degrees to effectiveness. You'll acknowledge that, right? There's like, I'm doing things pretty well right now. And yeah, but what if there's like a 10% opportunity on the table or a 20% opportunity on the table or a 2% opportunity on the table to make you exponentially more effective? Here's why that matters. If you're driving a car really fast, you get this really awesome Bugatti or this really awesome whatever Lamborghini, and your alignment is just 2% off. Guess what happens to your joints in 10 years? They break. Guess what happens to your effectiveness in winning the race? You're not going to win. And so the guys that I get to work with are looking for those little opportunities to improve. And so this framework is one that I've created over the 25 years of being, one of the top bodybuilders in the world, being one of the top coaches now in the world, to help you be more successful. So here's what it is. The first step that is completely missed in exercise, and this is going to sound obvious, and it's really not, is selecting the right exercises. Now, here's what is not true. Compound exercises are not better than machines. I don't care what your bro science history tells you. It's unfortunately not the truth. Why? Because sometimes compound exercises don't fit people. And while compound exercises are useful, it doesn't make them more effective. Why are compound exercises useful? Why do I still use compound exercises with almost all of my clients, yet I still believe they're not most useful? Compound exercises are an amazing way to test capability, right? So why do I do something we call the Big 8 exercises with all of my clients? Because I'm not trying to use them to build muscle or even necessarily build strength. I use them to test capability and capacity. If you can't squat, it tells me something about your body. Like, oh, your back may be messed up, or your hips are messed up, your ankles messed up, your knees are messed up. I use it as a gauge for capability and capacity, not always as a measuring tool or a skill for output. So there's a really big difference there, isn't there? Like in your mind, categorize these things separately. When I'm training somebody in the gym, I need to test capability, like can they do these things? But that doesn't necessarily mean that's the best way for me to make progress. I feel very fortunate that throughout my life, I've been very capable at most things because I train it, and I'm genetically very blessed to move really well. So my body, my mechanics are really good. But what if I was 6'9" with really long femurs? Chances are I'm not going to move really well, right? Can't squat, can't deadlift. That doesn't mean I don't squat and deadlift. It means I use a squat and deadlift as a measuring tool to see like, hey, gosh, your hip is really stuck there. Don't squat. But that at least allows me to use that as like, oh, we're getting better. We're moving in the right direction, or we're moving in the wrong direction. So every human should have the ability to squat, deadlift, bench press, pull up, push up, overhead. What else? Different types of deadlifts, lunges, I believe overhead presses, I believe dips. All these things are super, super important exercises that all humans should aspire to do. It doesn't make them the best exercise. Let's get into what does make something the best exercise. So first, fit. Like, does it fit my mechanics? And you'll acknowledge that some people have long arms, some people have short, some people have big rib cage, some people have small, some people have big hips, some people have small hips, some people have long legs, short legs, and therefore every exercise fits everyone differently. So how do I select exercises that work best for me? Well, first, you should not try to fit yourself into an exercise. You should not try to contort your body, manipulate positions to fit you into any exercise at all. You should ultimately choose an exercise that fits your body. Now, sometimes that means, let's do compound exercises. Sometimes dumbbells and barbells are better because you get some freedom of motion, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're always better. Your body doesn't know free weights, cables, and machines. Your body knows tension and torque. Select them in the right exercises where most people just go wrong. So if you don't select the right exercise, I don't care how hard you're working. I don't care your rep ranges. I don't care your load. You're just choosing the wrong things. And therefore, effectiveness is all downhill from there. So if our goal is 100% effectiveness, then we got to pick the right exercise. Because if we choose an exercise that's a 7 out of 10, we've already taken 30% off the table. So if I want to be 100% effective in my workout, which should be the goal, right? Because I don't want to train for 2 hours at a 70% effectiveness. I'd way rather train at 45 minutes with 100% effectiveness. So if you can choose the right exercise, one exercise that fits your body really well, you're going to have a way better outcome and output than if you choose a shitty exercise that doesn't really fit your body. So start there. So eliminate things that you mentally and maybe dogmatically want to work, but maybe don't. Squats is a good example of that. Barbell rows is a good example of that. Generally not a good exercise for most people. Even pull-ups, unfortunately, for most people, just don't fit. Some people they do, some people they don't. So stop being dogmatic about the exercises and start choosing things that fit your body. How do we know? Here's how we know. How do you move when there isn't a weight in your hand? And so if I was like, I'm going to do bench press, it's going to go this way. I'm going to go like this. And okay, well, great. Well, if the machine changes that, then you've already lost. So find an exercise that allows you to move freely without going out of the natural path of motion of your body. Now, that's a really subjective thing because many people don't move really well to begin with. So without me seeing you move, it's very difficult for me to go, this exercise is better. But here's what you're looking for. Look for machines or exercises, could be cables, could be dumbbells, that give you a wide degree of freedom of motion. So for example, if I pick up a back exercise and the handle is fixed, I don't have a great degree of freedom of motion. So I don't want to necessarily pick something with a fixed handle because it doesn't give me a great freedom of motion, which means it's probably not going to fit most people. So if you pick a machine or an apparatus or a cable or a dumbbell that has a large degree of freedom of motion of the hand or of the path of motion of the machine, that's probably going to give a greater likelihood of it fitting your body. So there's two things that I want you to know when picking any exercise. One is path. One is profile. Path means, do I have a great degree of path, a freedom of path of motion? So I can kind of go over here, I can kind of go over there. Why? Because everyone's so different in their capability and their mechanics that you have to have a varying path. So obviously a dumbbell is going to have way greater freedom of motion than a barbell. Dumbbell is also going to have a greater freedom of motion than a machine in most cases, many machines. Not all machines, but many. Dumbbell is a great option when it comes to the first variable, which is called path. So is cable. Generally, cable, unless you're using a fixed handle, has a pretty good path for most people. Some machines have a wonderful path. Now, so we select the right exercise. Second is like, what's the path of this exercise? So if I can choose one that has a good path that fits my body, then we've checked two boxes. We select the right exercise, we've got a great path. And then the third one is profile. So what's profile? Well, profile means where is it hard and where is it easy? And that's difficult to quantify for most people, but really it's like, does this feel ridiculously easy in certain positions or does it feel ridiculously hard in certain positions? And if it does, maybe it doesn't have a good profile. Now, a lot of science people, biomechanists and science exercise scientists would say that the profile doesn't matter. And in some cases they're right, in some cases they're wrong. So the general idea is I want you to feel, does this feel really good, real appropriately heavy and appropriately light, appropriately challenging through every aspect of the range? Here's why that matters. Because if it doesn't, the chances of you controlling it are less, the chances of you getting challenged are less. Can I definitively say that the profile matters all the time? No. But where it does matter is if I'm trying to simplify something for you, don't choose an exercise that feels really heavy in one position and really light somewhere else. It just doesn't work. So we want to find things that are appropriately challenging in all aspects. I'll give you an example. The dumbbell row is a really shitty profile, really, really good path. Good exercise in general, like fits most people, good path, shitty profile. So it checks 2 boxes, misses 1. Bad news. Unfortunately, even cable rows for most people are generally a crappy profile. You can learn to adjust your position to make the profile more effective, but for most people, again, crappy. The best way to train back, as an example, is generally always with machines that have a floating handle and a cam. This is maybe too complex for an average person. What do we do? Well, maybe finding a cable press is a really good exercise. A dumbbell press is a really good path and profile. But unfortunately for back, it's not awesome. How about for legs? Finding an exercise like a leg extension, leg curl that has a good profile, which is where it's hard, where it's easy, is relatively simple. Most machines now, or most gyms now have decent machines. So first thing I want to do is I want to find an exercise that fits me, my body really well. I want to find a path that allows me to not have to contort my body. And then I want to find a profile that allows an exercise to be maximally challenging. So here's the catch, or the summary. You need one exercise that fits you really, really well. That's it for each body part. And if you can do that, that's a really good start. Then you can start going really hard on that one exercise. We call it output. Generate output. I want you to work really, really hard. Push hard. If it's not the right exercise, if it's not the right path, if it's not the right profile, working hard is not going to be as effective. You may be playing a game that's starting off at a 6 out of 10 maximum. So this is how I maximize my effectiveness in the gym. I don't follow a preordained plan that chooses the exercises for me. I do follow a plan when it comes to exercise reps, number of sets, and total volume, but I'm dynamic in the exercise selection, which is way more useful than being rigid on the exercise selection and dynamic on the other things. So exercise selection should be simplified, should be dynamic to fit your body. So here's how you can start to look at, well, how many exercises do I choose? Answer, one that fits my body well. If you can't find one that fits your body well, this is where people start getting into this area of, well, now I need 2 exercises, right? So, or maybe now I need 3. So this is where the old school bodybuilding mindset, which is absolutely correct, of you need 3 exercises to train your body part. Well, they did that because the profiles were shit. The profiles of exercises back in the day, like, generally weren't very good. Like a leg press, as an example, has a terrible profile. So it should be, if a leg press were done correctly, it would be heaviest at the top and lighter at the bottom, which you can do with bands, but generally not with normal leg press. There are leg presses now that allow you to adjust the profile. So again, some of this terminology may be completely foreign to you, and I apologize if it is, but I try to simplify it in a way that makes you understand. So a leg press is a linear profile generally. It actually will be less challenging as you get further up because of how the body moves. But if we had an exercise that was heaviest at the top and got progressively lighter at the bottom, that would be generally ideal because your body has mechanically, it's sort of getting easier at the top because you're closing in on the center of mass, base support center of mass. I'm not going to get it. It's so much easier to see this visually. But yeah, so when it comes to, I'm walking into a gym today in Toronto, which is one of my favorite gyms, by the way. Shout out to Arzadon Gym on Richmond Street. Awesome little spot. Anyone in Toronto downtown, check it out. Private little training gym, but it's awesome. Got good equipment. Shout out to Jay Arzadon. And like, I'm going to walk in there. I'm going to look around. I'm going to go, okay, I'm training back and chest today. What exercises does this gym have? It's got this great rowing machine. It's got this cable pull down, and it's got these dumbbells. Great. Like, pick within that. I know these are my best options for exercises. Now I'm going to do my best to work as hard as I possibly can within that. This is how you should approach this, guys, because if you're choosing the wrong exercises that don't fit your body, it doesn't matter how hard you work. You're going to end up injuring yourself. And this is why people keep coming back to me as a coach, is because you can go on your own. You're going to pick shitty exercise. You're going to get injured. Your body's going to hurt. You're going to think you're getting old, and your body hurts because you're getting old. But in reality, your body hurts because you're choosing the wrong exercises that don't fit your body. Simple. I'm going to keep this podcast short today because I feel like I'm rambling a little bit. But guys, if this is helpful for you, apply it. Now, if you want to understand how to choose exercises, head over to my YouTube channel, which I have more and more videos coming out now on how to choose exercises more to be more selective for your body. I'm going to do equipment analysis, exercise analysis for different bodies, and ultimately how to make the most of every rep, every set, every workout. Have an amazing day. If this podcast is useful for you, leave us a comment, leave us up to a 5-star review. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn on notifications now so you never miss a beat. Have a great day. See you guys next time.